Guys, I have been fully proven right. Who remembers about 4 months ago when I made a segment calling out Mark Zuckerberg as a massive cuck who's bending the knee to Donald Trump? I think it was in reference to the fact that he was going to be, as a company, Facebook and Meta would be refusing to ever take down any content that the White House requests be taken down, particularly in reference to when the White House requested that revenge porn of Hunter Biden, where it's like him holding his hog, be taken down because it's literally revenge porn, which is illegal material of the president's son. Zuckerberg framed this as censorship and claimed that in the future they would never, ever censor users on their platform at the behest of the government ever again. And I called this out as a blatant signaling that Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook are going to mask off, lean heavily into becoming pro-MAGA. Essentially, Zuckerberg is following the same steps as Elon Musk did, which is ironic when you consider Zuckerberg and Elon Musk were threatening each other and challenging each other to a shirtless fight a couple like a year ago. But the Zuck recognizes how big of an opportunity owning the president is, right? Like, Elon Musk owns the president of the United States. Whatever he wants happens on a policy level. That is a level of power any billionaire would, like, sacrifice all their children for, you know? And Zuckerberg recognizes this opportunity, and so he is now openly, as I predicted months ago, jumping on the MAGA train, bending the knee, swearing fealty, whatever you want to call it, that's what it is. Mark Zuckerberg, sporting it, by the way, a $900,000 watch. The watch he is wearing in this video is worth almost $1 million. Just thought I'd let you know. As he calls time on Meta fact-checking. That's right. Mark Zuckerberg announces that Meta is shutting down its fact-checking division. They are moving their moderation team to Texas. He really emphasizes they're moving their moderation team to Texas, where, and I quote, there'll be less concerns about bias, political bias, and he is, they're working to eliminate political bias at Facebook. He also name drops Elon Musk positively and mentions just like Elon Musk did multiple times in this video. If you guys thought I was exaggerating a couple months ago when I said Zuckerberg is a cuck and he has now got Trump's dick fully down his throat, then prepared to see me proven fully 100% right.
I want to talk about something important today because it's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram. We're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes.
Fact checkers are bad now. You know, I feel like nothing speaks more beautifully to the state of conservative rhetoric that fact checker is a dirty word now. I feel like I saw it overtly for the first time when I talked to Lauren Southern back in the day, and she referred to debunking something as debunking it with like a soy jack. Like, associated with it was like, oh, it's like fact-checking stuff is cringe is the joke, I guess. Is this gonna catch on with conservatives? Interesting. And then it did. It like really did. And nowadays we're at a point where the standard is fact checkers are bad, and it is left-wing woke leftist bias to be fact-checked or to have fact-checkers. And instead, you must allow randoms in the community to be the arbiters of what is true and false. And that is the only fair, unbiased way, apparently.
Similar to X, starting in the US.
Yep, here we go.
After Trump first...
referencing Elon and how great his ideas are, instance number 1...
got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith.
You're going to hear this a lot. And you're going to hear this a lot from conservative figures, is this idea that, like, the legacy media is jealous there's partial truth to this point, and you can feel it, kind of just the vibes of it, and that's partially why this argument works so well, or it's largely why this argument works so well and it's so well received, is that the legacy media is failing in comparison to online alternative media. And especially those that are hosted on these big social media sites. And so for someone like Zuckerberg, there is a level of truth when he says, yeah, a lot of this like mainstream legacy media sees us as a threat, and they aren't very good faith with us. There is some truth to that. A lot of these social media companies have been treated very bad faith by legacy mainstream media in the past. There's definitely truth to that, and I think most people have recognized it. However, what he's referring to right now and what he's signaling is the idea that holding Facebook as a company accountable for what they allow on their platform is being treated unfairly. He is going to frame a company being expected to uphold some like basic levels of decorum on their platform that at least like match the laws. He is claiming that that is against free speech and expression. Which, even if it is, that's not necessarily an argument for why it's bad. Something you'll notice is that there's never a conversation about why free speech is good. Free speech is just assumed to always be good. Maximizing the amount of free speech that the most amount of people have is always assumed to be good, and there's not really a conversation about why that's the case. It's kind of taken for granted. To an extent, I agree with that claim, but at the same time, there is a deeper conversation to be had. And if you completely start your framework at maximizing free speech at all costs is good, then you naturally arrive at the conclusion that these conservatives force you into. But if you can actually bring the conversation back to, well, is it necessarily good for all speech to be completely free and all expression, right? Like, what do you consider valid artistic expression, for instance? Like, if some creepo is drawing CP and posting it online, do you think they should be allowed to do that because First Amendment, bro? I think that's a really good example, because most normal people will say absolutely not. And then right there, we've got something we agree on where, okay, yeah, some people don't deserve total freedom of expression because their way of expression is actually harmful. And we all agree it's bad. Because unfortunately, not everyone agrees that Nazis are so bad that them having the ability to express themselves with no pushback or censorship is a bad thing, right? How many times have you heard someone who is definitely not a Nazi or even a conservative say that they would fight for the right of a Nazi to express their racist beliefs? Because what they believe in is free speech absolutism, and they care for it so much they would fight, and some would even say die, for a Nazi's right to free speech. Because there's not really that much general agreement that Nazis shouldn't have the right to express themselves. And so I think pointing to an extreme example like that really helps to put people's perspective in place and like, there are examples where free speech is not absolutely good no matter how much of it there is, or the more of it there is, right? Like, sometimes there need to be limits. And then you can kind of branch into a conversation. Once they have their mind open to that, you can branch into a conversation about how free speech absolutism can lead to those using that freedom to gain power. And once they have that power, they can destroy said free speech, which is what Trump obviously wants to do. He literally ran on the promise of expanding libel and slander laws so that he could more easily, and more people with power and money could more easily sue those that call them out and criticize them. So, like, they don't actually believe in any of that stuff, but that's besides the point. The main idea is that most people, by default in America, just the conversation starts at maximizing free speech for everyone is good. And there is no concern or context or critical thinking they put into that premise that they start with. They just start from there, and that's it. But the conversation needs to be brought to that point. Otherwise, this type of rhetoric's going to keep working. This like, oh, we just love free speech. It's free speech, bro. Like, that will continue to work until you reveal the fact that there are cases where free speech can be harmful. Free speech can even harm free speech itself. And that's an important conversation. But most people aren't even close to willing to have it.
faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more.
The fact checkers have been just too politically biased. Just everything that MAGA wants to hear.
Trust than they've created, especially in the US. We're also going to tune our content filters to require much higher confidence before taking down content. The reality is that
He's literally just coming out to say, we're copying Twitter. Like, MAGA, please fill our site. Like, he also, as you guys know, Facebook announced that they're going to be dumping AI posts all over their platform. I did a segment about that very recently. Very dead internet theory-esque. But yeah, Facebook has openly announced they are going to be posting a lot of AI stuff. Like, they're going to have AI accounts posting AI-generated content constantly on their platform to boost engagement. Like, they just bragged and admitted they're doing this. All the while, Mark Zuckerberg's announcing that they're reducing and pulling back on fact-checking, their rules and moderation and their filters. He's basically announcing that he's turning Facebook into a slop platform that's just meant to be a money mill. A blatant, shameless, AI slop-filled money mill. It was already halfway there to begin with, so I guess now they're just fully leaning into it. Elon Musk has lowered the bar so much that just openly turning your site into a hellspace that just tries to farm engagement for maximum income, like just in the short term, is acceptable. And now they're all following that. And they're going to bend the law, if they can, through Trump, in order to benefit them. They might use Trump's power to shut down the competition, to ban the competition, in such a way where the only option is what they have on offer. So they can make their sites awful to maximize their income and force us to have no option but to use their sites if we're American. That's the goal. They've got the president in their pocket. Keep that in mind.
That this is a trade-off. It means we're going to catch less bad stuff, but we'll also reduce the number of innocent people's posts and accounts that we accidentally take down. We're going to move our trust and safety and content moderation teams out of California, and our US-based content review is going to be based in Texas.
Like, I don't know if you guys know, but Texas is like, it's the state of conservative hive mind. Like, the Daily Wire is like mainly hosted in Texas now, if I'm not mistaken. Like, I think like most streamers are there too. A big part of what Texas has going for it right now, particularly like Austin and I think Houston as well, is that they have the fiber optic gigabit internet lines. And so if you're a streamer who needs strong, stable internet, or you're a content creator whose job is the internet, then you're likely going to find one of those big Texas cities to be very favorable, just in general. And there's very low cost of living. So these things mean that, like, it's just attractive to set up there if you're in the world of tech and, like, your income isn't really dependent on where you are, but you can maximize what you need for your work, but you can reduce the amount of cost for it. Like, Texas is perfect for that when it comes to online work. But then on top of that, so they're trying to turn Texas into the new Silicon Valley, if it's not obvious. But on top of that, it's also very culturally conservative, a hard red state. It is sort of the anti-California. Like, in the same way that California is seen as, like, the hard blue, like, if you're a liberal, lefty, Ivory Coast elite, you live in California. Texas is seen as, like, if you're a rough and tumble real American who cares about freedom, you live in Texas. And so, like, just heavily branding and associating the business with Texas is meant to appeal to that, like, hardcore MAGA crowd that is made, like, even if they live in New York, they make being Texan part of their kind of, like, aesthetic and personality, because that's what's most associated with, like, the MAGA movement is, like, Texan conservatism.
As we work to promote free expression, I think that it will help us build trust to do this work in places where there is less concern about the bias of our teams.
So yeah, just openly saying, like, we're going to have our team in Texas because then there'll be less concerns about the bias of our teams. Basically admitting people think that our moderation teams are biased because we have them hosted in California, and the people who are complaining are conservative. So we're going to move our moderation teams to a more conservative place so the loud, angry conservatives are made happy. Because we want their money. That's the translation of what he said there. I said this months ago that Elon Musk, or not Elon Musk, well, yes, Elon Musk, but Mark Zuckerberg is a fucking cuck who is bending the knee to Trump. When did I say this originally? I uploaded this 4 months ago, and I read an article about Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg changing Facebook such that they are not going to accept any requests from the White House to take things down anymore. So I claimed this 4 months ago it was going to happen, back in September, and it's now come fully true. It's now come fully 100% true. I gotta say, I don't miss. I didn't miss. What can I say? I just don't miss. Anyway, guys, if y'all enjoyed this segment, if you found it entertaining, enjoyable, educational, if you like me dunking on Mark Zuckerberg, then consider hitting that like button and comment down below as well. Every single thumbs up and comment goes a long way to support my channel and the algorithm, especially if you're watching live. Please, please, please hit that thumbs up button. It means so much to me. And of course, if you want to see more from me in the future, be sure to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell icon so YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload a new video, because if you don't, they won't. And keep in mind, if you want to support me and see more from me on other platforms, be sure to follow my social medias linked down below, including my Blue Sky and joining my fan Discord, which is the main hub of my fan base and community. And finally, if you want to support me directly, financially, help me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xander Hall studio, then please consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me through the YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buy some Xander Hall custom merch through the Streamlabs link down below in the description. Regardless of how you support me, though, thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a good one.